Should you buy Warhammer Vermintide 2? Well, do you enjoy Left 4 Dead, games where you slaughter hordes of enemies? Do you like fantasy settings? Or do you just care about a game with good graphics? If you answered yes to any of these, then this might be the game for you. Let's get the ball rolling by covering the game's premise. Set in the world of Warhammer Fantasy, a party of 5 unlikely heroes are forced to unite against the forces of chaos, as the prophesized end times begin and the destruction of their world is upon them. The main plot of Vermintide 2 revolves around the party attempting to destroy the Skittergate, a Skaven, also known as Ratman, portal to the Chaos Wastes. If the party should fail to destroy the portal, then the vast, twisted, and demonic armies of chaos will be able to invade and destroy all in their path. Moving into game design. As far as the graphics are concerned, you're probably not blind. You can decide if you personally like the look of this game, but on an objective and technical level, the models, the characters, the environments, all of it in this game are incredibly well crafted and highly detailed. The same goes for sound effects, the original soundtrack, and audio engineering in this game. Some of the best you'll find out there, short of a AAA game on the level of something like God of War. For user interface and heads-up display, everything you need is displayed both clearly and stylishly. Ability bar, health, team status, ammo, all of it is very easy to keep tabs on. Maps are a good segue between game design and gameplay, so let's diverge here. The base game features 13 campaign maps, 4 of which conclude with boss fights, with another 3 added in for free with the Drakenfels campaign update from early 2020. The rest are included in DLC, which I'll talk about more near the end of the review. For the core gameplay loop, you and 3 other players, or bots, travel through a level, often completing small objectives along the way, fighting monstrous mini-bosses, and facing randomized hordes of standard infantry and special units. These units will come from the 3 enemy rosters: Skaven, the Warriors of Chaos, and, if you bought their DLC, the Beastmen. The combat generally revolves around melee, which breaks down into light attack, heavy attacks, blocks, and dodges. You also have a secondary weapon that is nearly always ranged. Ranged weapons can work on a cooldown system or rely on ammo. Characters have a variety of melee and ranged weapons to choose from, each one suited to a different situation, from wave clearing with a flamethrower to piercing enemy elite armor with a rifle. Last important thing to note is class abilities. Each character has 3 unlockable classes, making for 15 variations of playstyle. This is not including the released and upcoming 4th DLC classes for all characters. Abilities work on a cooldown system that can have a wide range of effects, from cloaking you to one-shotting most enemies in the game. So, now that we covered the basics of the game, we're going to move into the all-new content introduced with the release of the Chaos Wastes update, a massive new content drop that was released on 4/20. Thank you, Fat Shark. As you enter the game, you will see a doorway on the main floor of your keep, the hub area for this game. This will lead you down to a new area where there's a whole bunch of cool stuff to look at, but more importantly, there's a new expeditions table. From this table, you can embark on a newly introduced roguelite-inspired campaign. The goal of these expeditions is to travel through dangerous chaos wastes in an effort to find the Citadel of Eternity, a mysterious place where you can supposedly seek aid from the gods. You'll pass through 4 expedition maps, wherein you and your squad will vote on which paths to take, each path granting you different challenges or different boons. Each stop along the way, you'll encounter one of 2 things. One is a shrine, where you can purchase personal buffs or squad-wide bonuses to help your entire party, using pilgrim coins, which you will collect along your travels. The second type of encounter you will then pass through is a map encounter. These encounters will have you travel through one of 15 new maps introduced in this update, with each map possessing the chance to be cursed by a chaos god, introducing a negative modifier that will persist through the encounter. At the end of an expedition's map is a final fight. For the first 3 maps, it'll be an arena guaranteed to be blessed by a chaos god. And for the 4th and final map, you will be fighting to get to the Citadel of Eternity itself, which is being guarded by the remaining chaos god. Just remember that roguelite game modes don't reward failure, so if you should die in your last combat encounter 40 minutes in, you will not receive any good loot. Alright, now that we talked about the core content for the game, let's quickly discuss this game's relationship with extra content. After seeing the length of my first recording on DLC, let me sum up. Maps, cosmetics, weapons, character classes, game modes, and even the highest difficulty are DLC. If you buy it all, you're easily spending $100 USD, so maybe cut back to 30 or 40 at most for just the essentials. There are 25 in total, about half are cosmetic and half affect gameplay. You got all that? Good. Alright, it's time to sum things up with this game's pros and cons. And remember, going into this, that even the best games have places they can improve. And, as always, some of these could be subjective, in just my opinion. Anyway, on to the pros. With the newly introduced update comes a ton of replayability for this game. The game got a little stale before when all you could do is retry maps on new difficulties, but random modifiers every map creates almost unlimited experiences. This game is also receiving new content and updates, even with development studio Fat Shark working on the release of their new Warhammer Vermintide game. It does seem like Vermintide is still getting the love it deserves well into the future. And this game is well optimized. It has very few bugs, at least from what I've seen in my playtime across both console and PC. Its built-in voice chat and text are quite good, and has a ton of settings you can tweak for performance optimization versus graphics. Even on a lower-end PC, you can still run this game and have it look pretty good. On to the negatives, because every game has them. The friendly bots in this game are super brain dead. They're just good enough for new players to get through the easiest difficulty pretty consistently. But beyond that, they're just awful, from falling off the map to using ranged weapons while being swarmed in melee. It's one aspect taken from Left 4 Dead that they really could have improved on quite a bit, but haven't. And kinda tied into that is difficulty. Difficulty can swing very wildly, even sometimes on the same difficulty setting. Your whole squad can be insta-wiped by specials on harder difficulties if you get unlucky with specialist enemy spawns. So just be aware that sometimes the game will decide to screw you over. On top of that, if you get mixed in with bots or just a really bad squad, it can completely destroy a run. So if you have friends, you should try to get them to play this game. DLC I already kinda touched on earlier in this review. Fat Shark has showed that they can and will add great content to their games for free, as we've seen with the Chaos Waste update. But the studio does really like to milk you where it can. DLC classes are noticeably a step above the others, not making it pay to win, but definitely pay to power up. You do realize that this problem is only compounded when the hardest difficulty in the game is itself locked behind another DLC. Characters have few customization options, even if you buy the cosmetic DLCs, and even weapon types are locked behind paywalls. Don't get me wrong, you can have a great time without spending money in this game, and with the game clocking in at about $30, who knows, maybe you set aside $60 for a full-priced game and you'll have some extra DLC money. But occasionally, you'll just see these things and feel a little screwed over. And with that, I've said all I have to say about Vermintide 2. Hit the thumb and the sub buttons if you found this review helpful, but honestly, just watching to the end is a reward in and of itself. If you want to see what game I'll cover next, make sure you hit the little bell, and be sure to leave your experiences and opinions of the game down below. I'm just one opinion, it's nice to see others, especially if you end up buying Vermintide 2. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next review.